The road was empty. There were no cars. There were no voices. There was nothing but the wind dragging dry dust across the cracked, forgotten asphalt. The sun was already beginning to set, painting the sky orange and purple, but the light brought no comfort. It only marked the passing of another lost day in a place where no one looked. And there at the edge of the road, among loose stones and dry weeds, she lay. The female dog did not move. Her body was stretched out on her side, almost motionless, as if the weight of life itself had become unbearable. Her breathing was weak, almost invisible. Only the slight rise and fall of her chest showed that something inside her was still fighting to remain. Her eyes were half closed, glassy, fixed on an empty point ahead. There was no energy to lift her head, no strength to bark, no hope to seek help. Her body was trapped. A rusty chain wrapped around her hind leg, fastening her to a piece of metal driven into ground. The wound around the metal was visible, dried blood mixed with dirt. The skin was torn, swollen, infected. Every small movement made the chain scrape even more against the exposed flesh. But she no longer felt it. She no longer reacted. She was giving up, and beside her, trembling, dirty, too small to understand what was happening, was a puppy. He was no more than a few months old. His brown fur was matted, covered in dust and dried mud. His legs were thin, fragile, underdeveloped. His big, round eyes shone in a different way. Not fear, not despair. It was something else. It was insistence. It was refusal. He was not leaving. Even with his mother motionless. Even with danger all around. Even with hunger tightening its grip. He stayed there, pressed against her body, as if his presence alone could somehow keep her alive. The puppy approached again. He touched his nose to his mother's neck. Nothing. He nudged her gently, trying to wake her. Nothing. Then he lay down beside her, pressing his small body against hers, just as he did every night, just as he did when there was still milk, just as he did when she could still lick his head and make him feel safe. But now there was no safety. There was only silence and time passing. The wind blew stronger, lifting dust around them. The puppy closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the grains of sand strike his face. When he opened them again, he looked at his mother. She remained motionless, only that weak breathing, that minimal sign of life that seemed to fade with every second. He rested his head on her chest. He heard her heart beating, slow, weak, irregular, but still beating. And as long as that heart beat, he was not going anywhere. That road led nowhere. It had been abandoned for years, erased from the map after a new highway was built miles away. The asphalt was cracked, with deep holes and vegetation growing along the edges. There were no houses nearby, no gas stations, no reason for anyone to pass through. Only those who knew the old route, or who got lost by mistake, still crossed that stretch. And even then, it was rare, very rare. The last time a car had passed through there was 3 days earlier, and the driver did not even look to the side. He just accelerated, eager to leave that place that seemed no longer part of the world of the living. The female dog and the puppy did not end up there by chance. Someone took them. Someone chose that place precisely because it was empty, because no one would see them, because no one would hear them. They were left there on purpose, with no chance of return. The chain was not an accident. It was a guarantee. So she could not follow the car. So she could not come back. So she would die where she was left. It had been early in the morning. The sky was still gray. The car stopped at the edge of the road, near the brush. She was pulled out by the collar. She did not understand at first. She thought they were going for a walk. She thought they would come back. But then the chain was fastened to her leg, and the car drove away. She barked, ran after it as far as the chain allowed, pulled with such force that her skin tore immediately. She barked louder, screamed, begged, but the car disappeared around the bend, and she was left alone, not completely alone. The puppy was with her. He had been thrown out of the car along with her, falling sideways onto the hard ground. He got up dazed, looked around, and ran to his mother. She licked him quickly, checking if he was okay. He was scared, but okay. And then she tried to leave. She pulled the chain. Again and again. The skin tore more. Blood began to flow. The pain was unbearable. But she did not stop, because she needed to get out of there, needed to protect the puppy, needed to find food, water, shelter. But the chain did not give, and after hours of trying, she gave up. She collapsed onto the ground, exhausted, bleeding, and simply breathed, panting, defeated. The puppy lay down beside her and waited, because he did not know how to do anything else. The days passed slowly. The sun burned her skin. The rain soaked her body without washing away the pain. Hunger tightened until there was no strength left to feel it. She tried to tear the chain free on the first day. Then on the second. On the third, she no longer tried. She just waited for death, because it seemed to be the only thing left to come. But the puppy did not understand that. He still believed she would get up, that she would walk, that they would leave together. So he stayed there beside her, waiting for the impossible. And while he waited, the world around them remained indifferent. Without hope, the heat of the first day was brutal. The sun rose slowly, but when it reached the top of the sky, it was as if it turned into a furnace. There was no shade. There were no trees, only dry, low brush that protected nothing. The female dog tried to drag herself to a corner where there was a small patch of shade, but the chain would not allow it. She pulled lightly, felt a sharp pain in her leg, and stopped. Then she just lay there under the sun, feeling her skin burn. The puppy tried to dig a hole in the ground. His instincts told him that beneath the surface the soil would be cooler. He dug with his small paws, throwing dirt backward, trying to make a hole deep enough. But the ground was hard, dry as stone. His paws began to hurt, but he continued, until he could not anymore. He stopped, panting, and looked at the shallow hole he had made. It was nothing. It helped nothing. He went back to his mother and lay down beside her. Thirst began to tighten its grip late in the afternoon. Her tongue was dry. Her mouth was stuck shut. She tried to produce saliva, but there was nothing, only that sensation that her throat was closing. She looked around, searching for any sign of water, but there was nothing. The puppy felt it too. He walked in circles, sniffing the ground, looking for something wet, but everything was dry. He went back to his mother and tried to nurse, but there was no more milk. There was nothing. She gently pushed him away with her paw. He insisted. She pushed him away again, and then he understood. There was nothing left there for him. He stepped back, confused, and looked at her, as if asking, "What do I do now?" But she had no answer. She just closed her eyes and breathed. Night brought the cold. It came fast. The suffocating heat of the day disappeared within minutes, replaced by an icy wind that cut through the skin. The female dog shivered. The puppy shivered even more. He curled up against her, seeking warmth, and she pulled him closer with her paw, covering him as much as she could. They spent the night like that, shivering, hungry, thirsty, but together. And when the sun rose again, bringing the heat back, they were still there, still alive. But for how long? The second day without water was the worst. The female dog's tongue was dry, stuck to the roof of her mouth. Her throat burned as if it had been scorched from the inside. She tried licking the ground a few times, hoping to find some moisture, but the soil was hard and hot like stone. There was nothing. She tried licking her own paw, but what came out was dry blood mixed with dirt. She spat and gave up. The puppy felt it too. He walked in circles around his mother, sniffing the ground, searching for something he didn't know how to name. Water, food, help, anything. But all there was dry earth, dead brush, and the heavy smell of abandonment. He returned to her side and laid down again. Sometimes he lifted his head and looked toward the road, as if he were expecting something, as if he believed someone would come. But no one came. Minutes turned into hours. Hours turned into silence. And the mother, growing weaker and weaker, no longer opened her eyes. She breathed slowly, so slowly that it seemed the air might simply not come back at any moment. Her body was too hot. feverish. The infection in her paw was spreading. Red veins began to climb up her leg. The flesh around the chain was swollen, pulsing, releasing a strong, sweetish smell that the puppy did not understand, but that made him restless. He knew something was wrong. He stood up and began licking her wound, trying to clean it, trying to help, but the taste was bad, bitter. He stopped and spat, shaking his head, but then he returned and licked again because he didn't know what else to do. The mother did not react, not once. She simply remained lying there, breathing weakly, eyes closed, and the puppy began to whimper softly, a weak, high-pitched, desperate sound. He pressed his snout against her face, licked her ear, pushed her paw, did everything he could do, but she did not move. And then, for the first time, he stepped away. Not far, just a few steps. He looked back, as if expecting her to follow him, but she didn't. He took a few more steps and stopped. He turned back again. He looked at her. Then he looked at the road. And then he looked back at her. He could go. He could try to find help. He could try to find water, food. He could survive on his own. But he didn't go. He ran back, running as fast as his small paws would allow, running as if he were afraid that, if he took too long, she wouldn't be there when he returned. He reached her and lay down immediately, pressed his body against hers, and closed his eyes, because it didn't matter how afraid he was. It didn't matter how alone he felt. He was not going to leave her. Never. Night fell heavy. The air cooled quickly, as it always did in that place. The sky turned black, with no moon, no visible stars, only darkness. And within that darkness, two bodies trembled together at the edge of the road. The puppy was curled against his mother's belly. He trembled from cold, hunger, fear. But he didn't leave. He pressed his small body against hers, trying to warm himself, trying to warm her too, as if the warmth of one could save the other. But it wasn't working. Her breathing was even weaker, almost imperceptible. Her chest rose and fell with difficulty, as if every breath were a battle. And with each passing minute, the battle became harder. The puppy did not sleep. He stayed there awake, eyes wide in the darkness, listening to the faint sound of his mother's breathing, listening to the wind moving through the brush, listening to nothing. And then, suddenly, he heard something else. Footsteps. They weren't human. They were light, quick, silent, coming from the brush, approaching. The puppy lifted his head. His ears stood up. He sniffed the air, and then he saw them, eyes glowing in the darkness. Two pairs, small, yellow, reflecting what little light there was. A wild animal. Two, actually. Small, agile, hungry, watching, waiting, measuring the situation. The puppy stood up immediately. His tiny body tensed. He positioned himself in front of his mother, and for the first time he growled. The sound was weak, almost ridiculous coming from something so small. But it was real. It was brave. It was everything he had. The animals in the brush stepped closer. The puppy growled louder. His fur bristled. His paws trembled, but he did not retreat. He stayed there, planted on the ground, between his mother and danger. The animals stopped, looked at him, evaluated, and then one of them took another step. The puppy exploded. He barked, loud, desperate, with everything he had. He barked and barked and barked, stepping forward a few steps, showing his small teeth, acting as if he were much bigger than he really was. It was a sharp bark, full of fear and fury at the same time, as if he were screaming with all the strength he had, as if he were saying, "No, you are not going to touch her." The animals hesitated, and then they backed away. One disappeared into the darkness. The other stayed still for a few more seconds, just watching, and then it too left. The puppy continued barking for a few more seconds until he was sure the danger was gone. Then he stopped, panting, trembling even more than before. His paws could barely keep him standing. He turned to his mother. She had not moved, not once, had not even opened her eyes. She did not know about the danger, did not know that he defended her, did not know anything. He approached slowly and lay beside her again. His body was shaking violently now, from cold, from fear, from exhaustion. But he did not relax, did not sleep. He just stayed there, eyes open, watching the darkness, because he knew the night was not over yet. And he was right. 2 hours later, the eyes returned. This time there were 3 pairs, and they were bolder. The puppies stood up again, barked again, defended again, and again they retreated. But he knew he wouldn't be able to do this all night. He was too small, too weak, and they knew it. It was only a matter of time. When the sun rose, it brought the heat back, but it did not bring hope. The female dog was worse, much worse. Her body was still completely relaxed, as if she had already given up fighting. Her breathing was so weak it was almost impossible to notice. Only a slight tremor in her chest indicated there was still life there. But for how long? No one knew, not even her. The fever was high. Her skin burned. The infection had spread even further. The red veins now climbed up to her thigh. Her paw was swollen to twice its normal size. And the smell was unmistakable. It was the smell of death approaching. The puppy woke up startled. He had finally slept for a few minutes near the end of the night, too exhausted to stay awake any longer. But it was restless sleep, full of jolts. And when he woke up, the first thing he did was look at his mother. She did not move. He stood up quickly and pressed his snout against her. Nothing. He pushed. Nothing. He began to whimper again, louder this time, more desperate. But she did not wake up. He began walking around her, fast, nervous, not knowing what to do. He stopped from time to time, looked at the road, then looked back at her, as if torn between staying and leaving. But he wasn't leaving. He couldn't. He always returned, always to her side. And then he did something different. He saw the chain, that metal thing that held his mother. He had never really paid attention to it before. But now he looked and understood, in the way animals understand, that it was a problem. That was what kept her there. He approached the chain, sniffed it. It was cold. It had a strange smell. Rushed. Blood. He grabbed the end of the chain with his mouth and pulled. The metal was heavy, cold, rusted. He pulled with all the strength he had, but the chain did not move. He tried again, and again. His paws slipped on the dirt. His small body trembled with effort, but he kept pulling. The chain scraped against the ground, made noise, but did not come loose. He pulled harder. His teeth began to hurt. His jaw locked, but he did not let go. And then the chain slipped from his mouth. He fell backward, hitting the ground with a dull thud. He got up quickly, shook his head, and tried again. He pulled, but it was no use. He was too small, too weak, and the chain was too heavy. His paws began to bleed. His mouth began to hurt. He tasted blood, but he kept trying, until he couldn't anymore. He stepped away from the chain, panting, paws trembling. He looked at the chain, then at his mother, and then something broke inside him. He didn't whimper, didn't bark. He just sat beside her, staring at the empty road, eyes fixed on the horizon, as if waiting for a miracle, as if knowing time was running out. And he was right. Chapter 7, the third day, giving up. The sun was high now. The heat was unbearable. The air was dry, heavy, suffocating. There was no shade, no relief, only the sun burning everything around them. The female dog was no longer breathing properly. Each breath seemed like the last. Her chest rose slowly, and fell even more slowly, and sometimes it stopped, for 1, 2, 3, for seconds, and then returned, weak, almost non-existent, as if her body were forgetting how to do it. The puppy lay beside her, motionless. He no longer had the energy to move, no strength left to try. Hunger had become a constant pain in his belly. Thirst had become a burning in his throat. And the exhaustion was so deep it felt buried in his bones. He just lay there, eyes half closed, feeling the heat burn his skin, feeling the thirst tighten his throat. He was giving up too, because there was nothing else he could do. He had tried everything. He had protected. He had fought. He had pulled the chain. He had called for help in the only way he knew, but no one came, and now he was too tired to continue. He rested his head on his mother's belly. He heard her heart beating, still beating, but so weak it felt like it was disappearing. He closed his eyes, and for the first time, he thought about sleeping and not waking up. It would be easy that way. No pain, no hunger, no fear, just nothing. He felt his body relax, felt his breathing slow, felt the world around him begin to fade. And then, suddenly he heard it, a distant sound, faint, but real. His eyes opened immediately. An engine. He lifted his head, alert. His ears stood up. He looked toward the road, trying to focus, trying to be sure he wasn't imagining it. The sound was getting louder, closer. A car. The puppy stood up. Not fast, not with energy, but he stood. His paws trembled, barely held him, but he stood. He looked at his mother. She did not move. He looked back at the road, and then he knew this was the last chance. If he didn't do something now, he would never have another opportunity. He took a deep breath, gathered all the strength he still had, and began to walk, not away, toward the road. Every step was agony. The puppy's paws hurt, bled, trembled, but he continued. One step, then another, then another. He left the edge of the road, passed through the dry brush, stepped onto the hot asphalt, and stopped in the middle, right in the middle of the lane. The engine sound was louder now, much louder, coming fast, and he saw it, the curve, and the vehicle appearing. It was an old pickup truck, slow, kicking up dust as it advanced. The driver was looking ahead, distracted, one hand on the steering wheel and the other holding a bottle of water. He did not see the puppy. The puppy began to bark, loud, desperate, with everything he had. He barked and barked and barked, even with his throat hurting, even with his body trembling, even knowing he could be run over. But the truck did not stop. It kept coming, and the puppy did not move. He stayed there, planted, barking, staring straight at the vehicle coming toward him, because he knew that if he moved, the truck would pass, and no one would see his mother, and she would die. So he stayed, even with the truck getting closer, even with fear paralyzing his paws, even with every instinct screaming at him to run. He stayed and barked, and the driver finally looked up. The driver saw the puppy at the last second. His eyes widened. He dropped the bottle, slammed the brakes with all his strength. The pickup skidded, kicking up a cloud of dust. The tires screeched on the asphalt. The vehicle swerved to the side and stopped just inches from the puppy. The man froze for a moment, hands gripping the steering wheel, heart pounding in his chest. He took a deep breath, then opened the door and jumped out quickly. He was an older man, with large hands and sun-weathered skin. He wore a faded cap and a work shirt stained with grease. His face was marked by deep wrinkles around his eyes and mouth. He looked at the puppy, first confused, then irritated. "What are you doing in the middle of the road, little thing?" he muttered, taking a few steps forward. "I almost killed you." The puppy did not run. He barked again, once, twice, loud, insistent. The man stopped. "What is it? What do you want?" The puppy barked one more time, then began to run. Not away, back to where he had come from. He ran a few meters and stopped, looked back, and barked again. The man frowned. "You want to follow you?" The puppy barked. The man hesitated, looked at the pickup, looked at the road, looked at the puppy, then sighed. "All right, let's go." He began to walk, slowly, following the puppy. The puppy ran a few more meters, stopped, looked back, waited, and when the man approached, ran a bit more. They continued like that, the puppy leading, the man following, until the man saw her. The female dog lay stretched on the ground, motionless, trapped by the chain. Her thin body wounded, barely alive. The swollen paw. The breathing almost imperceptible. The man stopped. His eyes widened. He stood there for a second, processing the scene. "My God," he whispered, and then he ran. He knelt beside her, placed his hand on her chest, feeling the weak breathing, feeling the heart beating far too slowly. He looked at the chain, at the wound, at her condition. "How long have you been here, girl?" he murmured, even knowing she wouldn't answer. He looked around. There was nothing. No house. No people. Nothing. She had been left there to die. He pressed his lips together. Anger rose quickly, but he swallowed it. There was no time for anger now. He pulled a tool from his belt, a small pair of pliers he always carried for emergencies. He opened it and positioned it on the links of the chain. The metal was rusted, hard to cut. He strained. His arm muscles tightened. He gritted his teeth, pushed harder. The chain resisted. He tried again, and on the third attempt, the chain gave way. It snapped with a dry crack. The two pieces fell to the ground, kicking up dust. The female dog did not react, did not even open her eyes. The man carefully picked her up. She was too light, terrifyingly light, as if there were nothing left but skin and bones. He lifted her slowly and began walking back to the pickup. The puppy followed beside him, running, panting, never straying. He looked up at his mother, checking if she was still there, checking if he wasn't dreaming. The man placed the female dog carefully on the back seat. She didn't move, just kept breathing, weakly, but breathing. Then he turned to the puppy. "Come on, little one, you're coming too." He picked up the puppy and placed him beside his mother. The puppy immediately lay next to her, pressed his body against hers, as he always did. "Hang in there, little guy. We'll figure this out," the man said, closing the door carefully. He got into the truck, started the engine, and accelerated, faster than he should have, kicking up dust, dodging potholes, because he knew every second mattered. The pickup bounced along the potholed road. The man gripped the steering wheel tightly, dodging the worst holes, but not slowing down. He glanced at the rear-view mirror from time to time, checking on the female dog in the back seat. She did not move, but she was still breathing. The puppy lay beside her, his head resting on her belly. He did not take his eyes off her, not for a single second. The man grabbed the phone from the cup holder, dialed a number. 3 rings. 4. "Hello?" A female voice answered. "Dr. Anna, it's Raimundo. I'm on my way. Emergency." "What happened?" "I found a female dog chained up on the old road. She's in very bad shape. Very bad." There was a pause. "How long until you get here?" 15, 20 minutes. "Come fast. I'll get everything ready here." She hung up. The man tossed the phone onto the seat beside him and pressed the accelerator harder. The road began to improve. The asphalt became smoother. They were getting closer to the city. He checked the mirror again. The puppy had moved. Now his snout was pressed against his mother's snout, as if trying to feel her breathing, checking if she was still alive. "Hang on, girl. We're almost there," the man murmured. The minutes passed slowly. Every second felt like an eternity. He glanced at the clock, at the road, at the mirror. The female dog's breathing was getting even weaker. He could tell, the way her chest barely moved now. "Come on, come on, come on," he whispered, pressing the accelerator. They finally entered the city. The streets were narrow, lined with parked cars on both sides. He honked, swerved around people, accelerated through short stretches. 2 blocks, 1 block. He turned left, and there it was, the veterinary clinic. A small white building with a blue sign in front, Santa Clara Veterinary Clinic. He slammed the brakes in front, didn't even bother parking properly, just stopped and honked. Twice, 3 times. The clinic door opened. A woman in a white lab coat ran out. She was young, hair tied back in a ponytail, thin glasses, a focused expression. "She's in the back," the man shouted, getting out of the truck. The veterinarian opened the rear door and froze for a second when she saw the female dog. My God! She turned and shouted inside the clinic. Lucas! Gurney! Now! A young man in a blue coat ran out with a gurney. Together, they carefully removed the female dog from the truck and placed her on it. The puppy tried to follow. He jumped off the seat, but his paws slipped. He fell to the ground, got up quickly, and ran after them. Hey, easy, little one, the veterinarian said, but he didn't stop. He ran in after them, running beside the gurney, never leaving her side. They passed the reception area, passed through a door, entered a white room full of equipment. With a metal table in the center, they placed the female dog on the table. The veterinarian was already grabbing equipment, connecting wires, preparing syringes. The puppy stopped at the doorway. He wanted to go in, but something stopped him. He stayed there, standing, watching. Lucas! Close the door, the veterinarian said, without taking her eyes off the dog. But what about the puppy? Close it. Lucas walked to the door, looked at the puppy. He was sitting there, trembling, eyes fixed on his mother. Sorry, little guy. We're going to take care of her. I promise. And then he closed the door. The puppy stayed there on the other side, sitting, looking at the closed door, waiting. Inside the room, controlled chaos took over. The veterinarian connected the female dog to an IV line. The clear fluid began to flow through the tube, entering her veins slowly. She placed a stethoscope on the dog's chest. Listened, frowned. Weak heartbeat. Very weak. Lucas, hand me the thermometer. He handed it over. She checked the temperature. 41 degrees. High fever. The infection has spread. She looked at the paw. The chain was gone, but the wound was terrible. Swollen, red, pulsating. She touched it lightly, and the female dog reacted for the first time. A weak spasm. A low whimper. She still feels pain. That's good. It means there's still a nerve response. She picked up a syringe, filled it with antibiotic, injected it into the line. I'm giving a high dose. It's risky in her condition, but it's the only chance. Lucas watched, handing her the equipment she asked for. He looked at the dog, at her condition. Do you think she'll make it? The veterinarian didn't answer immediately. She kept working, cleaning the wound, applying antiseptic, placing bandages. I don't know, she finally said. She lost a lot of blood. She's dehydrated, malnourished. The infection is advanced. I'll do everything I can, but I don't know. She finally stopped, took a deep breath, looked at the dog. Her breathing was still weak, but it was a little more regular now. The IV was working. Slowly, very slowly. Now we wait, the veterinarian said, and pray. On the other side of the door, the puppy remained seated. He had not moved, not an inch. He just stayed there, staring at the door, waiting for it to open. Hours passed. The man, Raimundo, had stayed in the reception area. He sat on a plastic chair, elbows resting on his knees, staring at the floor. The receptionist, a middle-aged woman with graying hair, approached him. Would you like some coffee? He shook his head. You did a good thing today, she said gently. He looked at her. I just hope it's not too late. She placed a hand on his shoulder and gave it a light squeeze, then returned to her desk. Raimundo looked down the hallway, at the closed door, at the puppy sitting there. He stood up and walked over. The puppy didn't move, didn't even look at him, just kept staring at the door. Raimundo crouched beside him. She's going to be okay, little guy. The doctor is good, very good. The puppy did not react. Raimundo extended his hand and gently touched the puppy's head. The fur was dirty, tangled, full of dirt. You saved her, you know? If it weren't for you, I would never have seen her, never would have stopped. The puppy finally looked at him, just for a second, then turned back to the door. Raimundo smiled sadly. All right, I understand. You want to stay close to her. He stood up and went back to the reception area, and the puppy kept waiting. Night fell again. The clinic grew quieter. The receptionist went home. Raimundo insisted on staying. He lay down on the reception couch, but did not sleep. Inside the room, the veterinarian also did not sleep. She stayed there, monitoring the female dog every hour, checking temperature, checking breathing, adjusting the four, administering more medication. And on the other side of the door, the puppy did not sleep either. He remained seated, waiting. Sometimes, he pressed his snout against the door, as if trying to catch his mother's scent from the other side, as if trying to make sure she was still there. At 3 a.m, the door opened. The puppy stood up immediately. The veterinarian came out. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. Her coat was stained with blood and antiseptic. She looked down and saw the puppy. He was looking at her, waiting. She crouched. "Hey, little one, you stayed here all this time." He didn't move, just looked at her, then looked into the room. She sighed. "All right, come, but just for a minute, okay?" She opened the door wider. The puppy didn't need another invitation. He ran inside and stopped beside the table. His mother was there, lying down, still motionless. But now there were tubes, wires, machines around her, and she was breathing, stronger than before. The puppy approached, pressed his snout against her. She didn't react, but he felt it, felt the warmth of her body, felt the breathing, felt the heart beating. She was alive. He whimpered softly, a sound of relief, of exhaustion, of everything. The veterinarian placed her hand on his head. "She's fighting. She's a fighter, just like you." The puppy lay down on the floor beside the table and closed his eyes. For the first time in days, he slept, and this time it wasn't restless sleep. It was deep, heavy, the sleep of someone who could finally rest, because she was safe now, and he had fulfilled his mission. Chapter 13, The Awakening. 2 days later, something happened. It was noon. The veterinarian was in the room, checking the female dog's vital signs as she did every few hours. The puppy was lying in the corner, which had become his fixed spot. He only left to eat and drink when they insisted, and he always returned immediately. The veterinarian picked up the stethoscope, placed it on the dog's chest, listened, and stopped. The heartbeat was stronger, more regular. She checked the temperature, 38.5 degrees Celsius, almost normal. She looked at the dog, and then she saw it. Her eyes moved beneath her eyelids. "Lucas," she called. The assistant rushed in. "What is it?" "She's waking up." They moved closer, watched. The eyelids trembled, once, twice, and then they opened, slowly, just a small slit at first. The light was strong and confused her. She blinked, took a deep breath, and then she opened her eyes completely. She was confused. She looked around, saw the white room, the equipment, the unfamiliar people, and then she panicked. She tried to get up. Her legs slipped. She fell back onto the table. Tried again. "Easy, easy," the veterinarian said, gently placing her hands on her. "You're safe. It's okay." But the dog didn't understand. She only knew she didn't recognize anything. And the puppy, where was the puppy? She tried to get up again, more desperately this time. And then she heard it, a faint sound, coming from the corner of the room, a whimper. She turned her head, and she saw him, the puppy, running toward her. He reached the table, couldn't climb up, so he stood on his hind legs, tried to reach her, whimpering loudly. The dog relaxed immediately. Lucas picked up the puppy and placed him on the table beside her. The puppy ran to her, licked her face, once, twice, 10 times. He didn't stop. He whined and licked and pressed his small body against hers. And for the first time in days, the dog wagged her tail, weakly, slowly, but she wagged it. She turned her head and licked the puppy's head. One long, careful lick. He laid down beside her, pressed his body against hers, and they stayed like that, together. The veterinarian wiped a tear from the corner of her eye. "See?" she whispered to Lucas. "This is why we do what we do." The following weeks were about healing. Slow, gradual, but healing. The dog began to eat. At first, only small portions of soft food. Then more and more. Her weight began to return. Not quickly, but steadily. The wound on her leg was healing well. The veterinarian changed the bandage every day. At first, the dog was afraid. She growled softly when someone approached her leg. But after a few days, she understood. They were helping, not hurting. And the puppy never left her side. They were moved to a larger kennel after a few days. A space with a soft bed, bowls of water and food, and enough room for both of them. The puppy was recovering too. He had gained weight. His fur was shinier now that it was clean. The wounds on his paws had healed. But he never strayed far from his mother. Even when other animals in the clinic made noise, even when people came to visit them, he always stayed close. Because he had learned, in the hardest way possible, that you don't abandon the ones you love. The veterinarian, Dr. Anna, visited them several times a day. She grew attached to both of them, especially the puppy. You know he saved her, right? She said to Lucas one day, watching the two of them sleeping together in the kennel. I know. It's incredible. No, you don't understand. He was what? 3 months old? He could have left. He could have tried to survive on his own. But he stayed. Days. In the sun. In the cold. Hungry. Thirsty. Afraid. And he stayed. She shook her head. His loyalty saved her life. If he had left, she would have died. If he hadn't stopped Raimundo, she would have died. He did everything. A puppy. Alone. Lucas looked at the puppy. He's special. Very, she agreed. Raimundo came back several times to visit. He brought things. Toys. Blankets. Treats. He felt responsible for them now. How are they? He always asked. Getting better. Every day. He crouched in front of the kennel. The puppy came to the gate, wagged his tail, licked Raimundo's fingers through the bars. Hi, little hero, Raimundo said, smiling. You doing okay, huh? The puppy wagged his tail faster. Raimundo looked at the dog. She watched from a distance, still cautious, but no longer afraid. And you, girl, feeling better? She wagged her tail. Just a little. It was progress. 3 weeks after the rescue, the dog managed to stand up without help. It was an emotional moment. The veterinarian, Lucas, Raimundo, and even the receptionist were there to see it. The dog stood up slowly. Her legs trembled. She wobbled a little, but she stood, and then she took a step. Everyone held their breath. She took another step, and another, and then she began to walk. Slowly, carefully, limping on the injured leg, but walking. The puppy ran alongside her, barking, jumping, celebrating. And when she finally stopped and lay down, exhausted, he lay down beside her, and she licked his head, as if saying, "Thank you for everything." 2 more weeks passed. The dog was almost completely recovered now. She could walk normally. The wound had healed well. She ate normally, played with the puppy, and even began to trust people. Dr. Anna knew it was time to find them a home. But there was a problem. They couldn't be separated. She had seen the bond between them, had seen what they had been through together. She knew separating them would be cruel, so she made a post on social media with photos of the two of them, and she told the story of a mother abandoned to die, and a puppy who refused to leave, who saved her life with courage and loyalty. The post went viral. In 2 days, it had thousands of shares, hundreds of comments, dozens of people offering help. But Dr. Anna was careful. She interviewed everyone, asked questions, visited homes, because she wasn't going to give them to just anyone. They deserved the best. And then she found them, a family, a couple with 2 children. They had a house with a large yard. They had experience with dogs. And most importantly, they understood that the two couldn't be separated, and they wanted both. Dr. Anna took them to meet the dog and the puppy. The mother of the family knelt in front of the kennel. She extended her hand. The puppy came immediately, sniffed, licked, "Hi, little one," she said gently. "Do you want to come with us?" He wagged his tail. The dog watched from a distance, still cautious. But when she saw the puppy approach the woman, she also came closer. Slowly, carefully, the woman extended her hand to her too. The dog sniffed, and then, for the first time, allowed a stranger to touch her. The woman smiled, with tears in her eyes. "We're going to take care of you. I promise." And Dr. Anna knew this was the right family. Chapter 16, The New Beginning. 1 week later, they went home. The family came to pick them up at the clinic. They brought a large carrier, blankets, toys. Everyone said goodbye. Dr. Anna hugged both of them. Raimundo did too. Even Lucas, try and stay professional, wiped his eyes. "Take good care of them," Dr. Anna said. "We will. You can be sure," the father replied. They placed the dog and the puppy in the carrier. Together, as always, the car drove away, and a new life began. The house was big, with a huge yard, green grass, trees, space to run. When the carrier was opened, the puppy came out first. He looked around, sniffed, explored. The dog came out slowly, more cautious. She looked around, saw the yard, the people, the couple's 2 children, watching from a distance with excited smiles. And then she saw the puppy, running, playing, free, and she wagged her tail. The first days were about adapting. The dog was still shy. She didn't go into the house at first, preferred to stay outside, watching. But the puppy? He adapted quickly. He played with the children, explored every corner, slept on the couch, and always, he returned to his mother to check, to make sure she was okay. And little by little, she began to trust. She went into the house, ate from the bowl, lay down on the bed they had prepared for her. And when the family sat in the living room at night, she stayed nearby, not too close yet, but close enough. It was progress. 3 months later, the transformation was complete. The dog was no longer the same. She had gained weight. Her fur was shiny. Her eyes were alive. She played with the puppy in the yard, ran, barked, lived. And the puppy? He had grown. He was no longer so small. His legs were stronger, his body more developed, but he still slept beside his mother every night, still checked on her constantly, still protected her, because the bond they shared was not just mother and son. It was survivors, warriors, heroes. 1 year after the rescue, Raimundo came to visit. He rang the doorbell. The door opened, and before he could say anything, the puppy, now an adult dog, jumped on him, licked his face, wagged his tail so hard his whole body shook. Hey. Raimundo laughed, petting him. "I missed you too, little guy." The dog came right behind him, calmer, more dignified, but also wagging her tail. She approached Raimundo, and for the first time allowed him to hug her. "Hi, girl," he whispered. "You're beautiful, so beautiful." The family invited him in. They sat in the yard, watched the 2 dogs playing. "They're happy here," the mother said. "I can see that," Raimundo replied. "You've done an incredible job." "No, they did," she said. "They fought. They survived. We just gave them what they deserved." Raimundo looked at the 2 of them, the adult dog and the mother, running together, playing together, free, and he smiled, because they had made it. Against all odds, against all the suffering, against all the pain, they had made it. In the end, it wasn't strength that saved them. It wasn't luck. It wasn't fate. It was a choice. The choice of a small, frightened, hungry puppy who looked at danger, looked at loneliness, looked at fear, and decided he wasn't leaving, that he would stay. Not because he understood what he was doing, not because he knew it would work, but because he loved. And love, when it is real, does not abandon, does not give up, does not walk away, even when everything says it should, even when no one else believes, even when it seems impossible. Love stays. Love fights. Love wins. Today, when you look at that adult dog, strong, healthy, playing the yard with his mother. It's hard to imagine the frightened puppy he once was. It's hard to imagine the days on the road, the burning sun, the thirst, the hunger, the fear. It's hard to imagine him pulling the chain with those small paws, defending his mother from predators, stopping a car in the middle of the road. But it happened, all of it happened, and he did all of it. A puppy, alone, because she was everything to him, and he was not going to let her die. And you? Would you have walked away when everything seemed lost? Would you have stayed when there was no hope left? Would you have fought when everyone else had already given up? Or would you do what he did? Stay, fight, love, until the end. Because that's what true love does. It does not abandon. Never.